What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today I just want to I want to have an honest moment. And from my last video that I posted, I've had a lot of people commenting. It's getting, I guess you could say a decent amount of views, but understandable because it is something revolving around negativity or drama. So of course, people are going to watch, people are going to comment, and everybody has their 2 cents on what I should have done, how I got played, whatever your opinions or thoughts are. And I want to say this, I'm assuming that the majority of you watching my content are planning on moving to Medellin or to Colombia in general, or I guess if you're not, you are just watching it for entertainment purposes, which is totally cool. Don't have any issues with that. But what I have noticed is a common pattern in the comments is that a lot of you guys are super negative when it comes to women. And by all means, that's your prerogative. But if you are one of the people that plan on moving to Medellin and starting a life here, that red pill mentality, that, kind of cynical mentality, that's not going to fly here. It's not going to get you into a relationship, and it's definitely not going to have much success here with women, especially not normal women, maybe the working girls, but, not with normal women. And not every girl that you deal with here is for the streets or is, a 304. And like I said, if you keep that mentality, it's not going to garner any success with women here or pretty much in general. Now, I say this a lot that, I've traveled to a bunch of different countries. I've lived in other countries, like Brazil, living here now in Colombia. So as I always say, I was born at night, but not last night. So I'm not stupid. I know woman's nature. I know how women are. And, it's comments like these because honestly now everybody is a relationship expert. Everybody would have made the correct decision, which of course in 2020, in hindsight is always 2020. Of course you would have made the right decisions, but are very easy and quick to be critical of someone else's decisions. It's totally fine. I understand it's the internet, it's social media. That's what it's there for. But I do want to say this, that you cannot come here and expect to be a just asshole to women and have success, which is what it seems like in the comments. Some of you guys, not all, but some of you guys are, kind of, that's your mentality. And as I said, it's not going to get you very far here thinking the same shit that you're doing in the West is going to work here in Latin America. The women here, they like a guy who is a gentleman. They like a guy who is romantic and all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that those things equal to simp behavior or you're being a simp if you do those type of things. Of course not. Now, honestly, if a woman isn't reciprocating any kind of energy, if you're just doing things for her without getting anything in return, then of course it's not something you should be doing or I wouldn't recommend doing. But with my relationship, like I said, the girl, I have nothing negative to say about her, regardless how much people want to bash her in the comments and call her whatever she is. She's genuinely a good girl. And like I said, at the end, of course, yeah, she made some poor decisions, but I can't blame her. She went into survival mode. And I was told very young, everything your mom does for you is for your survival. Everything a girl does for you is for her survival. So, as I said, I'm not stupid. I'm not a young guy who's naive when it comes to women. I know the game for the most part. Now, people have made comments. Oh, as soon as you told her, you weren't feeling the same, whatever, you should have kicked her out. I'm just not trying to be cutthroat, or I just don't have that in me. to be cutthroat in that sense, where it's just like, oh, well, you don't have anywhere to go. You don't have any family here. You may have some friends through work, but basically you're just out on the street. I don't have that in me. If you guys want to, bash me in the comments for it, great, by all means, do so. But, I have my integrity and, who I am as a person, where I'm just not like that. Now, as you saw, or as, I explained, as soon as I saw there was anything negative that happened, of course, she was out. It wasn't like, I continued to let her live there or whatever. But this isn't the point of this video, is to recap on my previous video. The main part of this is just to say that for a lot of you guys that are watching my content and, have something negative to say, like I said, you're entitled to your opinion. By all means, you can have it. But if you want to have any success, and I'm not even going to say it's just here in Colombia, it's in general, you can't keep such a negative mind frame when it comes to dealing with women in general, especially Colombian women. As I said, they're not all bad here. And then with my ex as well, she's not a bad girl. And I'll say this again, I have nothing negative to say about her in general. I'm not, here to bash her, or this isn't a bashing party of, let's all just say something negative about her. It's not the case. So, if you guys are watching this content and it's just for entertainment, like I said, that's great. Continue to remain the same. But there is a saying that goes, if you continue to do the same things and you expect a different result, it's pretty much the definition of insanity. And for a lot of you guys that are just constantly negative, you're not gonna get anywhere with that in general, whether it's in relationships or in life. So, but like I said, I get this is the internet, and this is essentially kind of the place for trolls and people to, be negative and say whatever it is they want to say. Like I said, I have no issue with that. But I'm hoping that this may resonate with somebody and, maybe change your perspective slightly, not completely, but slightly. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to get on here and say that really quick, because I see that there are just so many negative people out there as far as their opinion on women and Colombian women. And as I said, they're not all villains or evil or just out to finesse somebody and, get over. And you as well, trying to be a genuinely good person here and giving someone an opportunity doesn't make you a bad person either. Now, I will say this, that if you are someone who is giving and you're not receiving anything in return, then of course, yeah, that is not a good decision. But people are going to do what they're going to do. So with that being said, appreciate you guys watching. As I always say, I appreciate any support on this channel, whether you left a negative or a positive comment. It all helps this channel grow. It helps with engagement. So I appreciate you all. I don't hate anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. You guys feel how you feel and you're going to voice that, and it's totally cool. Like I said, the point of this video is just to kind of put the message out there that if you are someone that is just constantly thinking negatively about women and, have nothing but negative stuff to say, then of course, you are not going to proceed very far when it comes to relationships, especially here in Colombia, because the stuff that you do in the West, the game that you think you have in the West, or how you would approach and do things, that same thing doesn't work here. This isn't the United States, it's Colombia. So you have to do things differently. So with that being said, that is my message for today. I appreciate you guys watching, and until the next one.